time, let's just get into the passage. It's an interesting passage. It is not typically the cat kind of a passage. This is for the GMAT, but it serves our purpose as well. Okay, so we can actually look at it and try and gauge out a few things for our cat as well. We'll read the first question stem and then we'll tackle the passage. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? A inference type question, which typically means only one thing, that you'd have to read the passage and mota try and understand the main idea. So let's read it. Okay, we don't have a time boundedness or anything. Aristotle established the first principle of dramatic criticism. So the moment I see Aristotle, there is a lot of ideas that comes into my head, but I will try to keep everything to myself and only focus on the facts which are mentioned. He is the person who has established the first principle of dramatic criticism in his classic work Poetics, and his definition of tragedy shapes any literary analysis of tragic drama as it appears in classical Greek texts. Now, this line itself is a very heavy line, that his definition of tragedy shapes any literary analysis of tragic drama as it appears in classical Greek texts. Now, there is a reason why I am reading it again and again, just so that, anybody who has a problem with reading in general can understand these type of texts. They are not very difficult as such, but, you can just take my 2 cents. Aristotle considered Sophocles the perfect writer and his Oedipus, the king, perfect tragedy because the development of the plot conforms to the Aristotelian rules of tragedy, the most important of which are unities of time, place, and action. Now, while it may not be really relevant to point out to the actual facts in the passage, but it really, threads all the ideas in my head. So that's why if you see, I am underlining only those parts which make some sense. However, of the 3, only the unity of action can be applied in drama in general. The other 2 relate specifically to tragic drama of the classical period as it was performed on the Greek stage. So of the 3, only the unit of action can be applied, right? According to Aristotle, the construction of dramatic tragedy demands the supremacy of the action over characters. As such, in an ideal tragedy, the protagonist's moral character is revealed to the audience only through a series of causative events that unfolds as fate takes its course. Now, if you have understood, they have started with the passage giving you an idea about Aristotle as a dramatic critique. We are not given anything about Aristotle's philosophy or anything of that sort. So you have to understand, because we are concerned typically with this question stem for inferences, we have to just focus on the fact that he's a dramatic critic, that too of tragic dramatic this thing. Let's read the first option and try and understand whether or not we can infer those ideas. Critical views of tragedy reflect the prevailing philosophical concepts of that time. Now, if you pay some attention, by the very discussion which I had right now, you can eliminate this one, because this passage has got nothing to do with any philosophical idea or philosophical concept of any period, be it classical or modern. It is only talking about Aristotle and his principle of dramatic criticism. So with that idea, possibly I can eliminate the first option. Let's go to the next option. Let's see. Once the form was established by Aristotle, once the form was defined by Aristotle, dramatic tragedy was written in conformance with his principles for the Greek stage. This one is a bit of a googly. So, yes, tragedy, I'll read it again. Okay, just I am trying to make sense of this statement in my head, so maybe it might just so happen that I'll read it or reiterate myself a couple of times, but please understand that this is necessary for us to understand the essence. This is not a easy passage as such. Okay, you can expect to get a passage like this as a critical reasoning, this thing in the GMAT, or even in CAT. What does this say? Once the form was defined by Aristotle, dramatic tragedy was written in conformance with his principles for Greek stage. No. What he said in the passage was that Oedipus the King was a perfect tragedy because the development of the plot conforms to the Aristotelian rules of tragedy, the most important of which are the unities of time, place, and action. But he said that of the three, only the unity of action can be applied to drama in general, because the other two specifically relate to tragic drama of that classical period that was performed on the Greek stage. So with that idea, I can say that it is not that once the form was defined or as such by Aristotle, dramatic tragedy was written in a conformance with his principle for the Greek stage. For the Greek stage, for that reason, I can eliminate this one. So I might as well eliminate this one. Oedipus the King served as a model for dramatic playwright for later years. Is this, I will, eliminate this option with just one, and I'll just ask one question and you will be able to eliminate this question type. Is this passage about Oedipus the King? Aristotle used it as an example to showcase that it may be considered as one of the perfect, perfect tragedy. But then this passage is not about Oedipus the King, and nowhere in the passage thus far we have mentioned has not mentioned it to be serving as a role model for dramatic playwrights. So with that idea, I can eliminate this also. So I have eliminated A, I have eliminated B, I have eliminated C. Now I have two more option choices to evaluate, and we'll see which one we can go with. Aristotle's principle of dramatic criticism have influenced other scholars. Okay, I'll keep this one. The characters in modern tragedies assume greater significance than do characters in classical Greek tragedies. Again, a comparison of some sort has been, been there. The comparison is about the characters in modern tragedy, which are given greater significance to that of the characters in classical tragedy. Nothing of that sort has been mentioned, which only means that D has to be my answer. But I will remove everything. Okay, if you want to take a screenshot, perhaps you can take a screenshot, or not, I'll just eliminate everything and I'll come back to my idea, because we have been able to locate D as our answer through option elimination. But I'll still want to read D and see whether or not it fits our bill. Aristotle's principle of dramatic criticism had influenced other scholars. We'll read the first line. Aristotle established the first principle of dramatic criticism in his works. In his classic work of Poetics, and his definition of tragedy shapes any literary analysis of tragic drama as it appears in classical Greek texts. If you read the first line, you would realize that in fact the principle of dramatic criticism have influenced other scholars. So with that being said, yes, elimination works. Selection also works sometime. If you can eliminate, just see if you can fit this thing to the passage or with the overall main idea of the passage. So with that being said, I would take your leave, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, whatever. That's it.